afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, fellow iron worker. Good afternoon to all of you who is watching my YouTube channel, our YouTube channel actually. So this is Junose of PWFS TV, the YouTube channel of Philippine Welders and Fitter Society Incorporated, based in Antipolo City, Philippines. So our topic today will be how to choose welding rod or welding electrode. So we have a lot of welding electrodes in our industry, and how we're gonna choose our welding electrode or welding rod, okay, when we have a project. Before that, if you are not yet a subscriber to our YouTube channel, please subscribe to PWFS TV, like our videos, and share our videos. Click the notification bell for you to be updated on our new videos. Right, so let's talk about how to choose welding rod or welding electrode. Just to let you know, welding rod is a layman's word, but the correct terminology for this is welding electrode. Right. Question: I will weld an ASTM A36 wide flange beam W24 by 162. How will I choose the right electrode or welding electrode? Choosing electrode is one of the first decisions that you may need before you weld any steel. A decision that you need to do before any welds or any strike is being done. So, how are we gonna choose our welding electrodes? A36 wide flange beam W24 by 162 is this one. Okay, it's a big wide flange, a thick wide flange, and it's an A36 ASTM A36 steel. So this is the example picture of the A36 wide flange beam W24 by 162. So in welding this A36 wide flange beam, what electrodes or welding electrodes I'll be using? So that's the question that we will be answering in this video. So answers. The first answer is to check what is the characteristic of the materials. ASTM A36 is a mild steel that can be easily welded. So in this scenario, we need a carbon steel welding electrode. Since the material that we will be welding is a carbon steel or a mild steel, then we need to choose an electrode that is also a carbon steel. So we will be choosing among the welding electrode, carbon steel welding electrode. We will be choosing among them. What among the carbon steel welding electrode shall we use? Second, check what is the ultimate, or what is the minimum, I should say, what is the minimum tensile strength of the materials. The minimum tensile strength of an ASTM A36 is actually 36,000 psi. So in this scenario, since the material is 36,000 psi minimum tensile strength, we need to have an electrode which is above 36,000 psi tensile strength also. Okay, we must not have an electrode that goes below 36,000 psi tensile strength. Okay, in this case, 60,000 psi electrodes and above are fitted on the job. Okay, so any 60,000 series electrode, 70,000 electrode series will be okay on the job. Third, check what is the required welding current in the production line. What welding current is available in your production line? That's the next question that we will be asking before we can decide which electrode we will be using. So if you have an AC machine, you need to choose AC fitted electrode. Okay. But if you have a DC welding machines, then you need to choose a DC electrode. Okay, an electrode that is okay with DC current, right? So in this scenario, I would prefer to suggest that DC machine shall be used. Okay, thus an electrode with DC capability shall be used. So we will choose the electrode that is capable in DC or direct current. Right. The fourth one is to check the thickness of the materials to be welded. What is the thickness of your materials? That's the next question you will be asking. For the material that has been asked in the first slide, okay, for W24 by 162 wide flange beam, the flange thickness is 1.22 inches or equivalent to 30.98 millimeter. And the web thickness is 0.0705 inches, which is equivalent to 17.9 millimeter. So in this scenario, we have a thick material that is to be welded. Okay, since it is a heavy thick materials, you will be needing a low hydrogen electrodes to avoid cracking due to high thickness. Okay, low hydrogen electrodes are having a good toughness properties. These low hydrogen electrodes have a good toughness properties. So if you have a high thickness to be welded, you will be looking at a low hydrogen electrode. So that's another question, another answer. So if we can take a look on the properties of W24 by 162, okay, this is the table. W24 by 162, the thickness of its flange is in inches is 1.22, okay, and the web thickness in inches is 0.705 inches. So this is where I get the thickness in the previous slide, right? Next, the fifth one, check the welding position on site. Since you will be welding wide flange beam, we expect that you will be fabricating it and erecting it on site. So you have two areas of welding. One in fabrication yard, and secondly in the erection site or in the site itself, on the project site. So for this scenario, since you're erecting on site, then you will be needing an all position electrodes. You need to choose an electrode that is capable to weld in all position. Okay? All position electrodes are those with a number 1 in the third column of the electrode classification. For example, in E6013, okay, the third column of the electrode, first column is E, second column is 60, and the third column is 1, okay, and the fourth column is 3. If your third column is 1, it states that, or it means that your electrode is for all position, right? So you need to choose an electrode with 1 number in the third column of the electrodes in order for you to have an electrode that is all position. All position electrodes are good for fabrication and erection, right? So in conclusion, with the 5 recommendation above or previous recommendation, you can now choose your electrode as follows. First, since A36 is easy to weld and it is a carbon steel, so you need to choose a carbon steel electrode. And since A36 material, we need an electrode tensile strength of 36,000 psi and above, right? And the third one, we need DC applicable electrode. And since it's a heavy, thick material, so we'll be needing a low hydrogen electrode. And lastly, we need an all position electrode. So with these informations, I can recommend, or I will recommend, E7018 electrode. Why I recommended 7018 electrode? Okay, so this is an example picture of an E7018 electrode. Okay, so it's an AWS classification E7018, right? So why I recommended E7018 then? Okay, if you can see on the details of E7018, E is the electrode. Okay, E is for electrode. 70 is for 70,000 psi tensile strength. Okay, our materials is 36,000 psi tensile strength only. So 70,000 psi tensile strength of the electrode is okay. Okay, so it's okay with what you are requiring. One is all position. Since you will be fabricating and erecting on site, so you'll be needing an all position electrode. So 1 is okay with the requirements. 8, basic electrode or low hydrogen electrode. Since you have a high thickness material, you will be needing a low hydrogen electrode. Thus 8 is a low hydrogen electrode. So all the requirements are okay, or meeting the requirements. All the details of E7018, I mean, is acceptable with the one required for welding, right? So, and another thing, E7018 is for both AC or DC. Since you have a machine of a DC machine, welding machine, then E7018 is also okay. Okay, so lastly, low hydrogen are tough, so it's okay with high thickness. So E7018 is the best electrode for the work. Okay, you can also use E7016 for the root pass and hot pass, another recommendation. And then the succeeding passes will be E7018. E6011 can also be used in your root pass, and then 7018 for hot pass and the succeeding passes. Or you can also use E6010 for the root pass, okay? E6010 for the root pass, and E7018 for the succeeding passes. All right. So now that we have an answer for the electrode that we need to use on the A36 W24 by 162. Okay, and that is how we choose electrode. Right. So that is how we choose electrodes. We need to check all the material types, okay, and characteristic, the tensile strength of the materials. We need to check the position, and we need to check for the thickness, and we need to check whether it is on the fifth one, you need to know if it's you will use low hydrogen electrode or cellulosic electrode. Okay, so since you have a high thickness, it is recommended to use low hydrogen electrode, but you can also use the E6011 or E6010 cellulosic electrode for the root pass only, right? But if your project requirement is all low hydrogen, then your root pass must be E7016 or E7018 also can be used as root pass, and then the succeeding passes are all E7018. By the way, so if this is only applicable if you do not have a WPS. Okay, so if you have a WPS already, okay, approved WPS for the work, and then when you are choosing the electrode, is you need to use the electrode written, okay, in the WPS or welding procedure specification. That's the way we can choose our electrode in the weld or in the material that we will be welding. This video can only be used if you do not have WPS in place. But if you have a WPS, the WPS requirement governs. Alright? So that is how we choose electrode. Thank you very much, and I hope that you learned something today. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to PWFS TV. In behalf of Philippine Welders and Fitters Society Incorporated and PWFS TV, this is Jun Jose. God bless you all.